Hi guys, enjoy the scary story times.
Story time on how me and my family almost drove off of a cliff while I make slime, period. So I was still in elementary school when this went down, right? Man, y'all already know. What am I about to say? Get your money's worth and let it drain. At this time, we were with my bald-headed daddy. Like, I was literally still in elementary school. And we decided we were going to take a trip up to Lake Arrowhead in California. Now, Lake Arrowhead is kind of near, I don't want to say near Big Bear, but it's kind of up there for real. To get to Lake Arrowhead, you literally have to drive up a mountain. Like, a mountain where you can just see the little tiny humans that look like ants down below. I can't remember if this was our first time going or our second time, but a little backstory, my dad's girlfriend could not drive. She do not know how to drive even to this day. Okay, so we make it about like halfway up this freaking cliff, mountain or whatever, and there's like these little rest stops where you can stop to look like down below the mountain. And this mountain is so high, I'm pretty sure you can see Long Beach, okay? Mind you, we were all the way in Orange County, San Bernardino, okay? Anyways, my dad had stopped. My dad got out. Me and my sisters were too scared to get out. I think even one of my sisters were crying. And then for some reason, my dad had the grand idea to try to teach his girlfriend how to drive on the cliff. So y'all, we literally see my dad and his girlfriend outside having an interaction, and all we see is my dad's girlfriend coming back to the car to the driver's seat. So we're like, what is she about to do? And my dad was like, oh, I'm gonna teach her how to drive. And he was literally laughing because he knew. Mind y'all, we like kids, okay? And we know she can't drive. She knows she can't drive. My daddy know that everybody knows she can't drive, okay? So she gets in the car. We all put our seatbelts on. Me and my siblings are holding on for dear life because we're like, yeah, this is the end. Like, this is a, like, they just want us to take us out for real. So she starts the car up, y'all. And he tells her, okay, now put your foot on the gas. Why does she speed ahead? And then he's like, stop. And then she starts to turn. Literally, we almost flipped off of the cliff. Like, we literally almost did a somersault off of the cliff, y'all. Off of it. At this point, me, my sisters, and my dad, we're screaming for our lives. One of my baby sisters was crying. Like, y'all, we was scared. And then out of nowhere, the car stopped. And I thought, like, yeah, we hit the bottom of the cliff. Like, y'all, I open my eyes. There's just dust all around us. And all you see is, like, this one car that they're standing outside their car just looking at us. And we're like, get her out of the driver's seat. And my dad was like, yeah, never again. I'll never teach you how to drive again. And from that day on, I don't think my dad's girlfriend knows how to drive to this day because he just never taught her after that one incident. And this is my last time addressing this. I'm tired of seeing little munchkins in my comments talking about why is she pausing a video every 2 seconds? She must be lying. Like, the only time you gonna pause a video that much is if you're lying. Where did you come up with this? I paused the video so much because, for one, that's the way I like filming. I use words like and da-da-da-da to fill the holes in the story. Like, I'd be like, and he was like da-da-da. And so I have to pause the video to gather myself. I still don't know how to make clear slime. Like, I don't think I'll ever know how to make clear slime. It just don't seem like it's gonna work out for me. Oh, look, a little bee got in here. Anyways, y'all, that's the end of the video. Bye. Scary story time on how I was left at school until 9 p.m. and a stranger drove me home while I make slime. Period. Yeah. I was like 14 years old when this happened. Y'all already know. Get your money's worth and what? Let it drain. So boom, this is freshman year. I already mentioned I was 14, and this is also the year my auntie ended up getting sick with cancer. So with that being said, all of like the responsibility fell on my older cousin, and you know, sometimes you forget things when you're dealing with bigger things. So I got dropped off at like 8:30, 8 p.m. and I got let out of school at like 2:15, 2:20, okay? Y'all already know, when you get let out of school, sometimes people are going to be talking in front of the school. Some people are walking home. Other people are walking to the store. Like, everyone's doing their own thing. So at this point, I'm tired. I've been in school all day. So I go to my designated spot. This is warm water with baking soda, but I already knew it was going to be a minute before somebody came to pick me up because for some reason they would go pick up my cousins first when my cousin's school was further than mine. For some reason, the baking soda did not work this time, but whatever. But anyways, this usually took around like what, 15-20 minutes for them to go to their school and then mine. I was in my spot, I was in my zone, and I was too afraid to whip out my Android. I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know what, I'm tired. I don't know where anybody else. I'm tired. Let me just kick back my feet and lay back. I'm also gonna add some of this lime. But anyways, yeah. It's actually the front of my old school, but I'd lay down on this thing. These are kids like on it, but like literally I would just lay down where these kids are sitting, but on the other side. Like I'm gonna close my eyes for a couple of seconds. Like it's not gonna be that freaking long. Okay, y'all, I messed up the time schedule. I actually got let out of school at like 3:40. Everything still applies, but the time is different. So I actually went to school at like 7:30 and then got out at like 3:40. So at this point, I lay down and I go to sleep, okay? And I started to feel uncomfortable, so I woke up and I'm like, you know, what time is it? Like, where is everybody at? What time is it? Y'all, it was 4:40 and I was still in front of the school by myself. So at this time, I'm looking at my phone being delusional and I'm like, okay, maybe they got held up at practice, like maybe something important happened, you know, that's probably what's going on here. And I just decide to connect to the Wi-Fi and I start texting my people on Text Now, texting people on Instagram, calling them on Instagram and Text Now because my phone was not on. The sun is starting to set, it's going on 5 o'clock, and the people who do sports, they're leaving the school. Like literally my friend, she's leaving the school and she's walking home. I know people are gonna be like, okay, so why didn't you walk home, you know? And honestly, y'all, I started to think about walking home, but across the street from my school was this park. You know, during the day, like kids would probably skip to the park and they would do things in the park, but during nighttime, the park was actually really creepy to pass by. Really creepy and sketchy, if I'm being honest, but whatever. And then like walking around the park, it was just like longer. It would be a longer walk walking around the park. Like also walking around the park was long and it was also creepy walking around that way. And at this point it's already dark. So no. That's a no. And I'm over here being naive like my family's gonna come pick me up. No, they forgot. Time is going by. Time is going by. Time is going by. At this point, y'all, the teachers are leaving the school. Okay, so I'm just literally in the front of the school, sitting there like they closed the school gate, y'all. That's how bad it got. And no teacher thought, why is this little kid still sitting in front of the school by herself? None of them thought that. None of them was like, hey, do you need a ride? No. At this point, y'all, I just had no hopes for my family. Like, I was like, I have to suck it up and walk through this park, or walk around like the park, walk through the park. And I'm so scared. I'm just gonna pray the entire time I walk. But I was so scared, y'all. I could have sworn I seen like a figure looking at me through the trees. Okay, I was scared. In my head, I'm thinking everybody else in school, they're gone. Like, I'm just the only one at the school. No. Actually, my lifesaver. I forgot to add that it was only getting colder, and at this point I was literally freezing. I was freezing cold. And out of nowhere, I start to hear students coming out of like the gates. And I'm like, what? Like people are still here? And next thing you know, I see my lifesaver, Evan. Evan was a kid that I transferred to school with, and he was so nice. Like me and him were like, we were friends in the beginning and then we became acquaintances. And he seen me, he was like, oh hey, and I was like, hi. And he was like, what are you still doing here? And I was like, I'm just waiting for my family to come pick me up because I'm still being delusional. I'm still holding on to hope. He mentioned it. What? He mentions it again, and I'm like, you're good. And then like all of his teammates, they get picked up, and his mom pulls up last, and he's on his phone, and I'm over there just freezing with my backpack. And he comes up to me one more time, and he's like, are you sure you don't need a ride? And in that moment, I was so scared because his mother could be, for all I know, you know. So I'm like, yeah, like I need a ride. And he was like, okay, like I'm just gonna tell my mom real quick. And she's like, sweetie, come on. I get in the car, and I was actually scared, but I get in the car and I'm praying, and she's like, why are you out here so late? And I'm like, I think an emergency happened at home. Like I'm literally making up all the excuses I can because I'm still thinking an emergency happened. Whatever, she drives me home because again, I literally like lived like 5 to 10 minutes away from the school. If even that, more like 3 minutes when you're driving. I get home and she's like, okay, like stay safe. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And that was that. I literally walked inside and I was like, literally everyone was like, where were you? And I was like, I was at school. And they were like, oh, like you had like after school program? And I was like, no, you guys forgot to pick me up. And they were like, what? Like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, like you, like, you know, I'm just gonna say older cousin forgot to pick me up. And she was like, oh my gosh, like I'm so sorry, and da 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 da. And that was that, honestly. And that wasn't even the last time, unfortunately. The cat's out of the bag, y'all. My dad has found my TikTok. So here's a story time on how I found out he found out why I play with slime. Get your money's worth and let it drain. Yeah. But around like 12 something, I got this text from my dad. And I'm only going to read the first part. And it says, you're just a effing lying bee just like your mother. T for me. Like T for me, you know. I didn't see that text message because I was night-night. Like I was taking a nap, okay? And, you know, at the end of my luxurious nap, I hear my mom and my grandma on the phone. Me being nosy, you know, my grandma, she hands the phone to me, and my mom, she's like, beware, beware. I'm like, beware of what, Mom? Beware of what? She's like, your dad found your TikTok, and he's livid, like he's mad. And at this point, y'all, am I mad? No, it was inevitable. Like, it was gonna happen. Like y'all, I'm at 800,000 followers. I'm surprised nobody has sent that man my TikTok until now. But you know, I was surprised that it took this long. What? So apparently, I don't know which family member did it, but somebody found my TikTok and they showed their TikTok to another person, and that said person called my dad livid, I guess cussing him out. And his reaction to me was, I'm a lying effing bee. And the reason why he can call me the B word so easily is because he's been calling me the B word. Riddle me this, riddle me this. Don't y'all think, in all honesty, don't you think, if I was lying on this man's name, wouldn't I have started doing it the moment I got from under his supervision? Let me give y'all a timeline. I moved to New York when I was 16 years old, right? I have not seen my parents since I was 16. It's been 6 years. So, you know, by your logic, as soon as I moved to New York, I should have picked up the phone and started filming TikToks. By the way, this isn't my first time going viral on TikTok. I went viral back in 2023 trying Japanese snacks. If it was all for views, I would have exposed you during this time. And technically, you're still not exposed because nobody knows who you are besides family. Nobody knows your name. Nobody knows your age. They don't know anything about you besides what you've done to me. Oh yeah, and he's trying to sue me, I guess. Sue me because I'm lying. And he's talking about defamation of character, but nobody knows who you are. But yeah, y'all, the cat's out of the bag. So, hey family, like... Hey y'all. Scary story time while I reactivate this slime. Oh my gosh. I get my money's worth, so get yours. Yeah. It just looks like I put a whole bunch of glue all over the table, bro. Ghost in the Backyard edition. Like, So this happened when I was in elementary school. I was definitely a little kid, and I remember I was in my like room at the time, and I was like doing something with my sisters. I cannot remember, but I was at my dad's house, and I remember that room always gave me the heebie-jeebies at nighttime because it was just creepy. I don't know, but I loved being in it in the daytime because of the windows, right? The way this room was kind of set up was that I can see kind of half of the front yard and then the backyard, right? I can see that. Now, I remember like minding my business with my siblings and then seeing like a man walking along the sidewalks in front of the house. Now, this man kind of had his head down and he looked like he was minding his business. So I'm not thinking it's a big deal. Time goes on, my sisters go to their room, and I completely forgot that this man walked by, right? I'm chilling next to my window, and next thing you know, I see this same man that I seen earlier in my backyard walking around my dad's garden just like in circles. Just he did like 2 or 3 times. I'm looking at this man, like full on staring at him. He doesn't make eye contact with me once, and then I see him like kind of walk in the direction where my window is to kind of hide behind our playhouse. When he ducked behind like the playhouse, I ducked too. So I duck and I'm like kind of peeking over my bed through my window. I see him get up, make direct eye contact with my window, walk into like this corner where this like old tree was, and he he's just there. He's out of my view. So I immediately run to my dad. I'm like, Dad, there's a creepy man in our backyard. Like, you gotta get him. Like, he's creepy. He was just in our backyard. So obviously concerned, he gets up, he goes to the backyard, he checks all the places where I tell him to check. And he's like, look, there's nobody back here. Like, what are you on? Like, there's no one back here. And I'm like, no, there is. Like, he went behind this way, like, that, you know, just tripping off of it. I know some people are gonna be like, okay, where's the scary part? Like, this is not scary, y'all. To describe my old house and its backyard, we had this huge fence that, like, you couldn't climb up unless you had some type of assistance. You needed assistance to climb this wall. So everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy because what are you talking about? Like, there's nobody back here. And I'm just trying to, like, explain myself, like, I promise I'm not crazy. Like, I'm not making this up. I'm not gonna say they didn't believe me, but I feel like they definitely thought I was tripping. I remember in that same night, I seen this man standing by my bay window, and I was terrified, and I hardly ever slept in that room again. So that's the scary part, and no one believed me. And I know a lot of y'all don't believe my story times, but I couldn't make this up, y'all. Like, that man was in my backyard, and I seen him. Like, I can still remember every detail about this man to this day. Bye. Scary story time while I make slime. Human sacrifice. Get your money's worth and let this little tiny bit drain. This story is not my story. It was sent in by a girl named Mackenzie. I don't know if the story time is true or not, y'all, but it had me on my tippy toes. Mackenzie is 25 years old, and she was ready to settle down and start a family, and she felt like American men weren't going to do that for her. So homegirl switched up her type, and she only started dating foreign men. So she got on all these dating websites to find foreign men, and she finally found one, and we're going to call him K. K was a Haitian man. His profile said he stood 6 foot tall and he had money. So Mackenzie and Kay, they automatically hit it off, like hit it right off the bat. They start talking, texting 24/7. They start sending money to each other, and it's only been 3 months, might I add. Now keep in mind, y'all, Kay lives in Haiti, so this is real long distance. It's been 3 months, y'all, and Kay, he wants some Mackenzie. He texted Mackenzie and he's like, look, I want to see you. You should come to Haiti. I'll pay for your plane. I'll pay for your hotel. I'll pay for everything. Now, Mackenzie, she's a little skeptical, and she's like, look, I want to see you, but I'm not going to Haiti. How about you come to America, and I'll pay for your plane ticket plus your hotel? He ends up agreeing to this. Kay ends up coming to America. They have a grand time. They do grown folks business. And then Kay goes back to Haiti, and, you know, they get to know each other more. It's been It's been a year and 3 months, and Mackenzie and freaking Kay, they're unbreakable. Couple goals, or so we think. Now, y'all, Kay proposes to Mackenzie. She's happy, she's ecstatic, but Kay keeps stressing her. He's like, look, you know, we're getting married soon, and I want you to have a traditional Haitian wedding. She's still a little weary about traveling all the way to freaking Haiti, but reluctantly, she ends up agreeing. 2 weeks before her wedding day, she's supposed to be flying to Haiti. Now, she had a deal with Kay. He was going to get her a hotel room because she did not want to sleep in his parents' house. She don't know them. Now, he promises her that she's not going to sleep in his parents' house, and he'll get her a hotel room. 2 weeks before her wedding day, she travels her butt out to Haiti. While she's on the plane, she's realizing how little she knows about her soon-to-be in-laws and her family, her soon-to-be family. All she knows is that he has 3 sisters, and his mom and dad are still together, and they love each other. That's basically it. My phone very much died, but back into the story. Now, she quickly realizes that she is not going to be getting a hotel of her own. They're going straight to his parents' house. They drive 5 hours away from the city. Now, when she arrived at his parents' house, she felt like she was being watched. But she brushes it off as, you know, maybe I'm just homesick. She meets the family, but she feels like something was a little off. She just couldn't put her finger on it. They never really spoke English around her unless they were directly talking to her. Kay also promised her that he would take her back to the city on the 3rd day. Now, y'all, it's the 2nd night. She starts to hear whispers. Not only does she feel like she's being watched, but now she's hearing whispers. She wakes up the next day, which is the 3rd day, the day that she's supposed to be going back to the city, and she feels terrible. She said it felt like her head was going to explode. She was throwing up. She was doing everything. Now, the only thing she ate the night before was the mother's cooking, but she's not putting 2 and 2 together yet. She's only getting worse as the days are going on, but she's eating everything that the mother is preparing for her. On the 7th day of her being in that house, she finally musters up the courage to get up and do some exploring. When she finds weird statues and figures all around the house, and she automatically knows that is what's watching me. Those are the whispers she's hearing at night. So remember when I said they never really spoke English around her unless they were directly talking to her? They were not aware that she was up because of how sick she had been, and she was kind of outside by the kitchen window. They're talking in English. She overhears a conversation with her mother-in-law and her significant other. The mother-in-law says to Kay she should have been unconscious by now. Why hasn't the sickness gotten to her? Have you secretly gave her medicine? And Kay's like, no, like I want this feast to happen too. When she hears this, she thinks they're talking about eating her. She stops eating the food that the mom gives her. She acts like she's eating it, but she doesn't. She gets well soon, but she still acts like she's sick. Now, she believed that they were talking about eating her, but they were not. They were talking about the feast that comes after the ritual, which was her. She finds that out later though. But time jump. He has came up with her plan. The plan is to steal the car keys and drive back to the city. That's exactly what she does. She finds the keys one night. She drives back to the city, still sick though, books herself a flight and gets home. She's on the next flight home. Kay is furious. He's blowing up her phone. And at this point, she's about to block this man, but she asked him, what do you mean by you're ready for this feast too? Y'all, what were y'all planning to do? Eat me? And he was like, no, we were planning to sacrifice you to what we believed in, then have a feast after that. After hearing this, she hangs up on him, blocks him on everything, moved, and safe to say, she's not going back to Haiti for a long time. Scary story time while I fix store-bought slime sent in by my supporters. Disclaimer, y'all, this is not my story. It was sent in by a supporter, and this slime is called Rainbow Sherbet, and it's from the Dollar Tree. Jumping into it, you got this girl named Savannah. Now, oh, it smells good. Now, yeah, for this summer, Savannah decided she was going to go on a camping trip with her brother and some of his friends. Okay. Anyway, now for some reason, they decided that they wanted to go camping in the middle of freaking nowhere. Why? I don't know. They're going to be camping on a mountain, so they had to take... So they had to take this trail to get to the camping area, y'all. But for some reason, the trail that they were trying to go on was completely blocked. So they had to kind of go around the trail. Never do that, y'all. If the trail is blocked, go home. Now, Savannah's brother was like, we should go home. Like, we should go home. And Savannah and his friends was like, nah, like, we not gonna go home. Like, stop being boring. Like, we already made it all the way out here. Like, no, we camping here. Now, me personally, I'm with the brother. I'm going home. I'll pick y'all up tomorrow. Now, after like an hour or two of walking, they could not find the camping area. So one of the brother's friends suggested them to just camp right there and then head back in the morning. Now, Savannah's brother, he still ain't having it. He like, y'all, I got a bad feeling. Like, I think we should go. Like, I don't like this. And, you know, they calling him a wuss. They still calling him a wuss, whatever. So they all decide to set up camp. They setting up camp at this point. You know, they're getting comfortable. They're eating hot dogs, telling stories, whatever. Now, they end up, like, going to sleep. Savannah and her brother share a tent. And at around, like, 2:45 in the morning, Savannah hears her brother outside of the tent calling, like, saying, come here, Savannah. Like, come here. Like, I need your help. And at first, I just got goosebumps. But at first, she's like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you calling me? Like, what? So she gets up and she opens the tent, half awake. She opens the tent and she's like, bro, where are you? Like, what are you doing? And she hears her brother say it again, like, come here. Like, I need you. I'm by the tree. I need your help. So she opens her eyes and that's when she sees her brother facing, like, his back is facing her. So she can't even see her brother's face. She just sees his back. I have freaking goosebumps. Can y'all see that? I hate that feeling. She just sees like his back facing her. So she's like, what are you doing? Like, you know, cause she's still thinking this is her brother. And then like maybe like 2 minutes of having conversation with whatever that was, her brother is still in the tent with her. And he goes, what are you doing? And she's like, like she literally freezes. And he's like, bro, like, are you good? And she's like, so she looks back at her brother and then turns around to look at like him outside. He's not there anymore, y'all. And from there, problems just started to arise. Everybody is up at this point and you just hear like everyone's just like confused, asking what is going on. And so Savannah goes like, if you hear me call you, I'm in my tent, do not answer. That is not me. Like, that's not me. So So, like 30 minutes later, Savannah's brother's friend, he's having a full-fledged conversation with whoever he's talking to. Because at this point, whatever it is like shape-shifting into them. But it never shows its face. It's always like turned the other side, the other way. Savannah in the tent is just trying to convince everybody to stay in their tent. Just like lock up the tent, just stay awake until morning, and they're out of there. At this point, day is breaking. It's like 6 in the morning, and they finally leave the tent, and they see one of their friends just shaking like backwards and forth. Obviously, like not all the way there. They literally had to force him to get up to make it back to the car. And you would think, okay, that's it. They had a crazy night. They were lost in the woods because they didn't stay on the trail. I think that this is the best this slime is gonna get. I mean, it's a little more stretchy, and I mean, it's definitely not pokey. So they're literally lost, and they don't make it to the car. They don't make it to their car until about like 9:30. Remember, they woke up and started moving around like 6:30, and they didn't make it into their car until like 9:30. They were all freaked out, disoriented. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Anyways, they were all freaked out. That's all we gotta say. And yeah, they never went on a trip to the mountains again. And then when they made it back into the car to look where they were at, they couldn't find it on the map. They couldn't find it on the satellite, the map, Google Maps. They couldn't find it nowhere. So God knows where they was at. Like, only God knows. Safe to say, this is why I don't go camping. And if I ever was to go camping, it would be in my backyard. What y'all think about this slime? Y'all think I fixed it? I don't know. I feel like it's definitely more stretchy, but it just doesn't poke. And it still smells really good. Like,
Bye, guys.